Hello, friends of Rock Mania. We are now with Dennis Stratton, the man of guitar. Welcome to Rock Mania, Dennis. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Great to be here.
Dennis, we did an interview in 2015. Since then, of course, a lot has happened. What are you doing nowadays?
Into 2019, we were we just released the Lionheart album, the Reality of Miracles. Basically, the idea was we'd work on another album. What happened was that Steve, being away with Schenker, and the rest of the band from Lionheart all work on their own projects. Like I work all over Europe, and so they're all working with different projects. So it was very hard to tie everyone down to finish the album, The Reality of Miracles. But we did it because of lockdown. We were able to finish it, thank God. And then while we were still in lockdown, 2021, we started writing for the next album, which is our fifth album for Lionheart, and actually called Lionheart 5 with a V. And then, of course, as lockdown started to ease a bit more in 2021, we were able to go out more. Music was coming back. So, of course, then Steve went back out on tour with Michael Schenker. I was in Europe, all over Italy and Germany and Holland. And Lee was, Rocky was with Grand Slam, and Clive was with the Kossoff stuff and the other sessions that he does. So it wasn't possible to finish the new album, the fifth album. But luckily, this last 2 months, everyone's slowly getting back into music. I just come back from Holland. I did a fantastic tour over in Holland and Germany with Maiden United, which is like completely different, like the classical acoustic versions of Iron Maiden songs. So that was a great tour, 2 weeks in Holland and Germany. Something different, not so much rock, heavy metal, but nice and gentle acoustic stuff. We played a big theatres in Holland and Germany, and these theatres are beautiful. You know, they go round sort of like in a half circle, and there's tiers of audiences like at the top, and fantastic. And so, of course, Steve got back from the Schenker tour about 6 weeks ago and's gone straight into the studio. So basically, it's now that we're right at this minute. Only yesterday, I was working on the solos for the new album, and my fingers were bleeding because it's been a long time since I've recorded for Lionheart, and the solos are, we concentrate so much on the harmony guitars and the lead solos, so it's intense practicing. It's intense running through rehearsing the solo for the album, and as we speak now, Steve is in the studio today, and slowly the album, hopefully, fingers crossed, finished by the summer. So work. I had a late night last night because we played here in the UK. I play tonight in the UK, and tomorrow I'll do 2 shows, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. So this weekend, 4 shows in 3 days. So it's very busy, which I'm really pleased about. So good.
A lot of work, my friend.
Yeah, it doesn't help when I sit down at the laptop on Monday morning and I'm working on the solos for Lionheart, and my little fingers are very, very sore.
I saw a picture in your Facebook from your fingers.
Yeah, that was the first 3 hours on an old guitar with old strings on that I was running through. Just pick the guitar up at home. I have 2 guitars, 2 comparisons. One's detuned a tone, and one's concert pitch. So whatever I'm doing, if I'm where I am here in the studio with Tim Atkinson, his band leader are down, I did some stuff on their album, and we did the O2 in Leicester a little while ago, and we supported Phil Campbell's Lovely Sons in the UK. And I played with Leader of Down, and they play a tone down, a step down. So I practiced on the white guitar, the comparison. The blue one, the black one, that's in concert pitch. So both guitars are there. I pick one up and start, here we go. And I picked one with old strings. So it was pretty sore. Yeah. Yeah.
And Dennis, here in Rock Mania, we like to take a time machine and back in time. How did you get started in music?
I was playing football, 14, 15, when I left school. I left school at 14 and I went into the docks to work because we never had any money. So I left school at 14. I was playing football all the time for the young youth teams, 14 years of age, 15 years of age. And it wasn't until I was 16, 6 of us went on holiday to a holiday resort in Jersey. And we were 16. And a friend of mine there said, when I get home, I'm going to sell my guitar. And I said, how much do you want for it? And I think, something. I said, I'll buy it. And I bought it, took it home, couldn't play it, put it in the corner. And then, because we were drinking a pub in East London called the Bridge House. And there was a band on the Bridge House called Power Pack. The guitarist was named Terry Newman. And they were absolutely out of this world. They were fantastic. They had Marshall stacks, they had Hammond organs, C3. They had everything, all the equipment. And they did all the stuff from Deep Purple, Highway Star, everything, all Uriah Heep. Everything was full on heavy rock, 70s rock. And I watched him and I kept looking and looking. And I went home and had a few beers and I picked the guitar up and I started playing different notes. And slowly I sort of quite liked it. So I carried on. As I was working in the docks, I only had the evenings to practice. But at the end of the day, the football seemed to drift away because I wasn't good enough to play a bigger league, a higher league. So I carried on with the guitar 5 nights a week. And I watched them, I remembered, and I went home and started playing and then just to improve. And that's how I come across, playing the guitar. And also listening to the Beatles.
In the beginning, you had a band called Remus down Boulevard. Tell us about that times.
Well, we were playing in a covers band called Wedgwood, and Dave Edwards was playing in a covers band called Uncle Sam. And we wanted to put a band together that was going to be taken seriously and write our own songs. So we asked Dave, me and the bass player, we asked Dave to come in with us. We got a friend of ours on drums, and we all lived local. We all knew one another from the younger days from school. And we put the band together. We were all playing in different bands, but we put the band together, started writing some original songs, and then we formed. And 2 weeks later, after forming the band, we did 2 nights at the Bridge House, and it was absolutely rammed. So we just went on from there, and then we went out and supported bands like Mott the Hoople. We were signed to a management label called Quarry Music, who they managed Status Quo and Rory Gallagher. And so within a few months, RDB was on tour out in Europe and Scandinavia with Status Quo. So we went from playing the marquee, 300, 400 people, to 80,000 all over Europe with Status Quo. So it was quite a lovely time of our lives because we were all mates anyway from school. So it was really good. And funny enough, only this morning, Tony Newton, who plays with a band called Voodoo 6. He's one of Steve Harris's best mates, and he's also brilliant recording engineer and producer. And he does all the stuff for Maiden when they record live shows. He's got a recording of Remus Down Boulevard, RD. He's got a recording with the hard drive, and he only sent me the email this morning. He's remixed the album and remastered the album for Remus Down Boulevard for RDB. So we're hoping to put that out because it's never been released.
The transition from Boulevard to Iron Maiden, what form did it happen?
Boulevard was resident at the Bridge House. On a Sunday night, Steve Harris and Dave Murray would come to watch us play. They always got there for the second half, and we got to say hi to one another, and I never knew who they were, but we always said hello. And when they signed the deal with EMI, basically they only had Steve, Dave, and Paul in the band. There was nobody else in the band, so only three of them existed. And I got a telegram through the post saying they're looking for another guitarist, backing vocals, and they wanted me to join because they'd already seen me play every week. So they knew who I was, and they knew the harmony guitars, the two guitars, the twin guitars, which is what would made Maiden the twin guitar band rather than just one guitar. And I got offered the job, and I went to the studio and rehearsed with Dave and Steve. Noticed there was no drummer. I told Steve that I knew Clive, and he said bring him along. I brought Clive along, run through a few things with Clive, so Clive got the job as well. But the idea was to go from a punky one guitar band to a twin guitars with the harmony, which they still use now. So the harmony guitars always make the song sound wider, bigger, better production, you know. And so that's where the start was.
And the first album, Iron Maiden, what means to you to be part of this masterpiece of music?
It was recorded very quickly. There was not a lot of thought that went into pre-production because all the songs were already written. All they needed doing was the guitars added, and then work out what we're going to do between me and Dave and make the song bigger, and work on the harmony guitars, on who's doing solos, and that was easy. But the album was recorded very quickly. Whether people like it or not, you know, the actual production with Will Malone. But me personally, it's amazing because I feel so honoured that I was part of that epic album. But at the time, because we were very young and it was done very quickly, you didn't expect it to do what it did. You know, if 40 odd years later, it's still amazing because it's such an honour to be part of that, and it always will be because it's done the test of time. So yeah, that's it. It was just very proud to be part of it, you know.
What are the best memories, Dennis, that you have from Iron Maiden times?
Well, just the touring, you know, the fans, you know, like wherever we went on the Kiss tour, Judas Priest tour, we were just astounded by the amount of support for this band that's only been together 6-9 months. And but we're a big fan base, and no matter where we went, but being away with Kiss with all them big shows, it reminded me of being away with Status Quo back in the 70s, but being on tour with Kiss with all the fans and the crowds and the big stadiums, yeah, unbelievable. But just seeing all them Iron Maiden shirts as you're driving up to a football stadium and you look out the window of the car or the bus or the coach or whatever, and you see all these Iron Maiden T-shirts. You go, well, you know, we were a support band, so it was lovely.
Years go by, and you are still remembered as a former Iron Maiden. Do you like it?
Oh, of course, it's a great family of fans. You know, I speak to Steve quite a lot, especially about West Ham and how bad we've been. But whenever I go, we were in Boston last year, October, and we went to see him, and the fans outside, they still recognise you, they still shout, and they still, you know, the best one is at the O2 in Greenwich in London. You go to the O2, and we always go to a pub with a big terrace and a big garden near the O2 called the Pilot. And whenever Maiden are playing the O2, you walk towards the Pilot, and everyone's outside, and you go in the Pilot, they've got Iron Maiden music playing. You go upstairs to the terrace, and when you look over the wall, there's a big beer garden, about 400 Maiden fans. And no matter where you go, if you looked over the wall, they all go, Dennis. It's great because they still remember you, no matter, even if it's a small gig with British Lions, with Steve, with British Lions. We can go to a small venue, and yet they still see you. You know, they all shout out, Dennis, you know, how you doing and all that. It's great. Everyone wants a selfie, you know, so it's great.
And do you have contact with Steve Harris?
Yeah, we talk all the time.
Other members of Iron Maiden, do you have contact or just Stevie?
Oh, Nico.
Nico.
Yeah, Nico always comes when we were at the O2 or when we were at Download or when we're in Boston. Nico always comes to see us.
And after Iron Maiden, you start playing with Lionheart.
The thing about Lionheart is that myself, Steve and Rocky always liked harmony guitar bands like Mantis, who I spent 15 years with. And that was all harmony guitars and more melodic, not so heavy. So it's always been a love of mine to play with a more American sound like the Foreigner, Journey, Kansas, Toto. Them a more melodic rock, but also with a bit of punch to it. So it's always been a love of mine to work with harmony vocals, you know, big choruses, you know, like REO Speedwagon, you know, like Styx, like all the American bands. Always loved all the big vocals. And it was lucky that myself, Rocky and Steve, all three of us, all loved the same, you know, the same music. So it was easy to go in to form Lionheart with two mates and start working on songs that we were able to write rather than the songs already been written, if you know what I mean.
And in the band Praying Mantis, you played for over 15 years. What can you say about that time?
Yeah, it was great because we were signed to a Japanese record label, Pony Canyon. So we spent most of our time backwards and forwards to Japan. We didn't hardly do any gigs in the UK. It was either Wacken Festival in Germany or somewhere in Holland, Germany, France. But most of the time was Japan and the Middle East. So it was great for us because we were out there playing and enjoying ourselves. But the 15 years went by like bang. I thought, it's 15 years. It seems like just 5 years, but it's 15 years. So it goes by very quickly. And it was great, the three of us. Same as Rocky and Steve, with Tino and Chris Troy, the three of us, it's like three brothers. So everyone gets on really well.
Have you ever played in Brazil, Dennis?
No, unfortunately. I was due to come over to Brazil in May. We were due to come over in March, April or May, but that was in 2020. So, as you know, all the dates were being penciled in for 2020. Everything got cancelled. So we had to sit at home for 2 years. Now, the guy that I work with, who's organising the tours, I spoke to this morning, and our tours were booked for May, But unfortunately, because you've got two big festivals on in April and May out in Brazil, so it seems to have clashed with the venues, the dates that we were going to do in May. So now it's been the decision this morning, just before I got here, was that we would probably come to Brazil in November or December.
Whoa.
And you heard it first on Rock Mania.
Amazing. Oh, it's a great deal, my friend.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. I might even stay there for Christmas.
Whoa, amazing. Tell to us, what do you like to do when you are not involved with music?
Well, we live on a farm, so there's nothing close by. So we've got a lot of fields and a lot of animals that can, you know, around. We don't have any animals, just that there's deer there. But because I'm always playing over here every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes on a Thursday. So on the Monday and Tuesday and Wednesdays, it's normally my weekend. So I have my weekend in the middle of the week or the beginning of the week. And I've got a couple of friends here at the moment that we also go down the pub and have a couple of beers. So that's how we relax and pass the time.
Great. A funny question now, Dennis, that we do this question in all the Rock Mania programs. If you could be part of any band in the history of music, in a dream, imaginary world, which band would be, why?
Well, I think it would have to be at the start, would have to be the Beatles, because from the age of 11, I've loved the Beatles and saw all the films and went to the cinema and saw all their great vocals, great songs that when they harmonise, and really you can't beat a medley of Beatles songs that everyone sings along to. Everyone knows the words. But as you grow up, as you get more advanced and more, I suppose, technical, one of my dreams would be to play with Steve Lukather, who from Toto. Steve Lukather has been a big influence on me from the beginning of the 80s as a player, so versatile with different styles from Michael Jackson to, you know, Barbra Streisand to the Tubes to anything he wants to put his hand to, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, any band, any solos that he does in film scores. And he's such a fantastic influence on me. I've learned a lot by watching him and listening to him. On my bucket list, before I put my guitar down or before I go to the rehearsal studio in the sky with all the others, it's on my wish list. I want to get up and do one more song with Maiden. Phantom of the Opera. I did text Steve once and said, I'm slowly getting through my bucket list before I pass away or before I hang up my guitar. I said, but there's one on my bucket list that only you can make it come true. And he sort of put a thumbs up like that, but I don't know whether that was yes or I know. So I will wait. Just one more song. Don't care where it is. One more song.
Another crazy question of Rock Mania. If you needed to live inside the cover art of any album, which would be and why?
I don't know. To live inside. Well, I imagine the most well-known and the most popular would be the first album, and to be inside Eddie. You know, I don't know.
The last crazy question, and I stop with it. If you could have any superpower, what would be and why?
Yeah. I'd like to fly.
Amazing.
I think I'd like to fly just to see what it would be like to glide over certain things like a drone, just to look at different places. I don't really know. Superpower, don't know. Yeah, I think if it was a superpower, yeah. Yeah, or I'd like to have a superpower of looking into the future. So then, when I finish talking to you, I could go down the shop and buy a lottery ticket and win £1 million.
Do you have a dream for your life, for the band, for mankind? Do you have a dream?
No, not really. I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've done from the age of 16. I'm 70 now, 70 years of age. I feel as if I'm in good health. Oh, my successful album with Lionheart, success with another band apart from Iron Maiden, but I can't be fussy or spoiled if it has to be one band as Iron Maiden, although when people know you're with Iron Maiden or you've been with Iron Maiden, they forget all the other bands that you actually played with before and after Iron Maiden, because they forget that. So basically, if I had a dream, it would just be I'd like to leave. I'd like, for my last few years, if I had a dream, I would like to move to a warmer country and spend until I peg it, until I fade away. My dream probably would be to live in a warm country where over here it's always cold. Sometimes we have a bit of a summer, but my dream would be to retire in a bit of a warmer country. Not be rich, but just to be comfortable to sit by a swimming pool and put a barbecue on and just watch the sun go down and just play your guitar. You know, that would be a dream for me to end my career. You know.
And what are your plans for the next months, for this year? Come to Brazil, the new album. What are your plans, Dennis?
Well, the plans are I'm doing some shows over in Italy, in Holland, with the Maiden United acoustic setup. Doing quite a few shows with the Maiden convention stuff in Italy, where I play with different bands, like tribute bands. I'm doing a big tour in Holland and Germany in October with Maiden United. It looks like there might be a tour in Italy for me and the band I play with in Italy. That might be about 11 shows. And then hopefully come to Brazil in November or December, hopefully. But in the meantime, I still have all my gigs here in the UK. Next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, following weekend. So I have regular gigs in the UK every week. So it's quite a busy time. Now, thankfully, after lockdown, we're getting back into the swing now of live music. So hopefully I'll stay fit and keep going.
Dennis Stratton, it was a pleasure for me to be talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, for this interview.
Thank you.
Rockmania is always available for you, my friend.
Okay, well, you got me number. You keep chatting to me and I'll keep turning up. Thank you very much. Good luck, Rockmania. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.